We know that our world is changing dramatically because of AI, and how do you, as a content creator, adapt to that? Well, to find out about that, I had a treat that I want to share with you, an interview I had with Ross Brand himself. He is well known for talking about live streaming and AI, how this is working together, and he gave us some real gems. He just finished compiling a book of 100 predictions on live streaming and how AI is working in that. I wrote one of the chapters, honored to do that, and we talked about all of that in this interview. So this is one you want to grab that pen and paper or your note-taking device of choice and take some notes on this as you hear somebody who knows what he's talking about that can help you enormously in this. And stay through all the way to the end, because that's where you get a chance to see Gina taking care of things. Gina Carr, my partner, working with us on this and how she's putting it together as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Leave a note on what you think of this interview, the kind of points that he made and what we did, and stand by to learn a lot. I'll look forward to hearing from you. 2025 is bringing about a lot of changes in social media, in video, in live streaming, and it can be overwhelming. You know what I'm talking about. But there's ways you can get ahead. I got a little secret I'm going to share with you what I've been doing. I've been reading a book lately that I had the opportunity to contribute to, one of 102 authors talking about what's going on, the predictions that are being there for live streaming and stuff. And I tell you what, I got a special treat for you right now, because the person who put that together is a legend in the field of social media and also with digital media, live streaming. He knows his stuff. His name is Ross Brand. He's joining us now. Ross, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me, Terry, and thanks for talking about the book.
Oh yeah, well this book is great. I mean this not just as, it's a book to see, but and because I'm in it. But seriously, just this morning and last morning, I've been reading a couple of chapters each time. That's the nice thing about it also. They're very short chapters, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 pages or so, and I get a lot of good information. But I want to talk with you from a big picture point of view, from 30,000 feet. What do you see happening in the world of digital media, streaming, those kind of things? And before we go any farther, what's the official name of the book?
The official title is 100 Live Streaming and Digital Media Predictions, Volume 5.
Okay.
It's actually the 10th year, the 10th anniversary of the predictions. They started the first 5 years as blogs focused on people in the industry, and then with the pandemic and everybody working remotely and using remote audio and video tools, we published as a book. So the last 5 have been in book version, but it's 100 Live Streaming Digital Media Predictions, Volume 5.
Okay, it's good. And the thing I like about it, it's real practical. This is something that we can use in our business, those of us who are content creators, and we can see what's going on. So we're going to ask you, get your crystal ball out there, make sure the batteries are working on it, rub it real well. And based on what you saw in the book, not that you've memorized every chapter, no, but just the general theme that you're seeing, what is working now in 2025 and will be working, and what isn't working that we thought was working, or that did work before, and how it's changed.
Well, I think AI is a huge part of everything that we're doing now. And so if you look at every prediction, I wouldn't call it an AI prediction, but I would call it a prediction where AI seeps in somewhere to it. So
yeah, it's about in everything we do right now.
Right. And so how does my industry, if you're a content creator, if you're an online entrepreneur, how in my niche can I employ AI to my advantage? And what are the steps that I need to be aware of that I don't trip over or hurt my business? So how do you use AI? And I would say if there's a consensus opinion, it's AI is a collaborator. It's somebody to offload some of your busy work to, but you never take the thing that you're the best at. If you're the best at hosting shows, that's your strength. That's what you're competing on. That's what people come to you for. Then that you do. Yeah, you put AI to work to do the show notes and help you come up with titles for the YouTube video.
I like what you're saying on that, because that goes along with what I often say is you need to not copy and paste, not at all. But what you do is you copy, paste, and customize. Put in your own voice. You want to, as I say, you-ize it. So you would Ross-ize it. Gina would Gina-ize it. I like to Terry-ize it. So it sounds kind of cool that way. Terry-ize it. Okay, so let me get specific here. What specifics do you see for content creators that we need to be aware of with the changing environment, with AI making such a big impact?
Well, I think we have to understand how the algorithms on social media are changing. This is a big difference from the way things used to be done. And the way we used to work was, I want to build an audience, I want to build a community, I'm going to put out content, I'm going to build a following, and then the social media platforms will show that content to my followers.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So that doesn't work anymore?
No, TikTok has changed the game, and this is not an endorsement, nor is it a criticism of TikTok. This is an evaluation of reality. Every platform noticed what TikTok was doing, and many of them said, let's gobble up some of the features for ourselves, which put a value on short-form entertaining content versus necessarily social-first content. But then it's also not about feeding the content to your followers. It's finding an audience for that specific video, that short clip, that short photo, that brief blog post, whatever it is. It's where is the audience for this? How do we get this to go viral? Which means only a small portion of the people who are following you may get that in their feed. And it also matters how you do in the first several hours after you put a post out, because that testing's going on and it's looking for signals that this has an audience or it doesn't. It's neither for or against you. It's trying to find, is this going to keep people on the platform? Are they going to be interested in this or not?
Yeah, actually, Ross, what you were saying there really makes a lot of sense. We've got to focus on the audience. It's not just, although I put out some really dandy good videos, and I thought they were great and everything, and both people that saw it really enjoyed it, that kind of thing. But what you're saying, I think, is so important.
It's a playing field leveler, though. Here's the good thing. If you have no followers and you're doing your first video, if you do something that appeals to an audience, that can take off. Even the biggest accounts, you'll notice one day they get thousands and thousands of views or hundreds of thousands, and then the next day they'll put out in a video and it'll have 5,000 views or 3,000 views or hundreds of views. And that's because it's not based on the follower count anymore, which is a way that the independent creator could take advantage of it. But it also requires upping the level of the quality and understanding, as you said, what the audience wants.
Okay, let's get real nitty-gritty here.
Easy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So here, for those of you watching this, you want to get your pen and paper ready if you don't have it already, or your note-taking device of choice. And I'm going to ask Ross, okay, what do we do so that we can make sure we appeal to that audience? How do we find out what the audience wants? I might think, well, they want to know about blue widgets, and the audience is going, we don't care about that anymore. We want this other thing. How do we find that out? And AI, wink, 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 might play a role in that. What do you think?
Well, certainly you can ask AI what people are searching for, what people are interested in within your niche. You can look at other content you've put out and see what resonates or not. And it doesn't mean that you have to follow that all the time because you're a creator and you want to do things that mean something to you, but you've got to find that sweet spot where there's a mix between what your passion is and what you enjoy creating and what an audience is looking for. And then it's about how you shape your content. Are you hooking them in the first few seconds? Are you hooking them with the first line? Are you writing a headline or a good title to your blog post or your story? And those are things that AI can help you with without taking away from the story that you wrote. It's still you. For instance, I do the first version of everything generally either live or live to tape style. So I've created the content myself, but then when I put a blog post together or I repurpose it, then I'm looking at how AI can help me do that quicker and do that maybe more effectively. Because, if you are a solopreneur or small business owner who's creating content, you are wearing so many different hats that nobody who worked in television or radio or movies ever had to wear before, or newspapers. You write the article, there's somebody else edits it, you have a headline writer. TV, you've got a whole team of people getting you ready. But if you're doing this online, this is an adjunct to your business. You're not putting a whole media team together unless you have a really big company, and even there, it's not easy to justify for social media. So that's where AI is a difference maker. If you think about it that way, it's not done for you, but it's done with you, and it's things you can offload.
I like that. There's things that we can offload and it's done with us. And I think that's important. Now, one of the things I want to bring out, and since we got you here, we're going to take advantage of you just a little bit here, because in the book, a lot of people talked about live streaming and the importance of live streaming. You are the king in that. You know so much about it and everything. Tell us why live streaming is big, so we know what that is, and what can the person who's watching this do to start getting into live streaming? Do they do it with just their phone? Do they have to do more? Do they have to spend a lot of money to get into it? What do you recommend to that person who's watching this saying, okay, tell me, Ross, what do we need to know about live stream?
Well, getting started is easy because if you have a smartphone today, you've got a camera that's terrific. You've got a microphone that, even if you use the built-in microphone, is going to pick up pretty good audio. And then there's lots of little gadgets you can plug in to make your audio better. And of course, there's so many browser-based tools. If you want to go from a laptop or a desktop computer, really there isn't a whole lot that you need. Your laptop probably has a built-in camera that's getting better, so it's not a crazy thing to use that, but you can upgrade to an external webcam or use a camera that you already have in your home. You can get very good microphones for under $100 that are USB, plug right in. That's basically what you need. Now, how do you get started? How do you use live streaming? I always tell people when they're getting started, go live on your personal profile on Facebook and talk about something that you're passionate about. Think about what you want to say to open. Think about what you want to say to close. Keep those things relatively brief. And in between, you'll probably be fine talking about that which you're passionate about. Do that a few times. See how you feel. If you don't feel great about it, do it a few more times. Once you get comfortable, then you can go over to your business page or some of the other, your LinkedIn or your YouTube or wherever you may be putting more of your business content, and then you can start to bring that in. It doesn't mean that every live stream has to be, here's my product and here's how to sell it, but you want to drop the name of your business in, you may want to drop what you do, and then do some content that is in some way related to that without necessarily selling. So if you are, give me an industry.
Let's say you're producing for physicians, and you're appealing to physicians. You might know a lot about that for whatever reason. That's what you've covered. How would you design your craft for that? And particularly, how do you find out what the physicians you're talking to are interested in and going to spend their time, their most precious resource, watching your video or listening to your content, et cetera?
Well, that takes a fair amount of research in an industry that I'm not in, but I will say that you do have to talk to the doctors, talk to the nurses, talk to the people, learn what they're purchasing and what's in and what's not. But one of the ways you can make your video is you can demonstrate what the different equipment is and how to use it. That can be one type. You can do open Q&As where doctors can come and nurses can ask you questions. But then you can also talk about purchasing trends in the industry. So you're not necessarily selling your product, but you're saying, this is what people are looking for. This is what the latest, recommendations are from the big healthcare companies. And then you can mention, hey, if you're looking for one of these, I've got this, but that you don't have to lead with that. And that can be in any industry. And over time you build trust, and over time you bring people in because they get to know, like, and trust you. I know that's very cliche, but that really is a large part of what it's all about.
Oh yeah, that's still true. It might be cliche, it might have been said a lot, but they need to know you. Know you're out there. They like you. Hey, I like the way he does that. She does this really well. And then they trust you. And all of that is there. And they trust you because you're giving good information. You're giving information that people need and that satisfies a need and solves their problems. So, Ross, you have helped so many people, including me. I got to say, by the way, those of you watching this, this guy knows what he's talking about. That book, I highly recommend. It costs $7. Come on, get the ebook for $7. And I love it. I find I'm getting a lot of good out of it. You want to go out there and do it. And so, Ross, what words of advice will you give to that person who's watching this? And they say, okay, I want to get going, or I'm already doing it. I might have been doing it for several years, but what do I need to do now, given the world where it is today?
Well, I will say this. I think the number one reason people should consider live streaming, and the book goes into a lot more than live streaming. It's less about live streaming than it ever was because of how much AI and how many different platforms have come along in different mediums. But the reason why live streaming is great is because we're all pressed for time. And if I go live for a half an hour, I've got a half an hour of content. If I try and produce a video, you can take that half an hour live stream. From that, you can have video clips for social media. You can have a long form video for YouTube or wherever you want to put a long form video. You can rip the audio and make it a podcast. You can write a blog post, a newsletter. All that half an hour content, when it's done thoughtfully, you've got everything you need to be an online creator within that half an hour of content. You've now got it out on paper, or once you transcribe it, you can then drop it in. That's where the AI comes along. Drop it in, give me an outline for a newsletter, write a 600-word show note article, give me a blog post, put the 5 most impactful quotes so that I can do graphics of them. And then you look at it and you evaluate it and go, is this really the way? And then you rewrite it in your own language, or you bring some of your own experiences and things that, I look at ChatGPT, for example, as a generalist. So it's got a general idea of a lot of things, but I have the specifics from my life experience and from my insider knowledge of whatever my field is. And so you put those two together, it can be very powerful and it can save you time. But the bar has also risen. So people expect more now. They expect a transcript, or they expect, there might be an audio version and a video version depending on where they are. And some platforms will do all that for you. But it saves you time, but it's also lifted the bar a bit in terms of where the baseline is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the key, because we're seeing it change quite a bit. But there's a lot of opportunities out there, and we know it's good. Now, one of the opportunities we know, we don't have time to go into right now, but Substack. And matter of fact, this guy had a session yesterday here at the conference where we are, and I got a chance to hear that. Really good. We might have to bring this guy back. Let me know in the comments what you think. Might have to do something with him again on that. But Substack is something you want to look into. Ross is a man who's been working with it some, and Ross, some people say, okay, I want to check that out. How do they find you on Substack?
So you can find me at rossbrand.substack.com.
Please spell Ross Brand.
Yes, ROSSBRAND. .substack.com, rossbrand.substack.com.
All right. Well, Ross, you have helped so many people. You've helped me. I really appreciate you through the years we've known each other, and honored to be in the book. And by the way, get the book and be sure and read my chapter 76. Yeah, go be sure and read that, and then get in touch with this wonderful guy here. Follow him. See what he's doing. Your career will benefit as a result of it. Ross, any final words before we say goodbye?
I just wanted to say thank you for having me on and for participating and being a co-author in a couple of the books. It's been wonderful working with you, and you were also the moderator for one of the talks that I gave, and that was great. So it's a pleasure to talk with you, and I really appreciate all you put into the books and your predictions.
You bet, Ross. I get those of us that are professional speakers, we adapt to a lot of different things. So we do it. And also, by the way, I want to say a big thank you to my co-host, my partner here, Gina Carr, who is over here. I'm going to turn this around and embarrass her a little bit. There she is, Gina. Thank you for getting pictures and helping us out on all of this stuff.
Happy to fly on the wall and learn so much from you.
And we'll have to get you when we get you on a microphone. Here, hold the mic for a moment.
Happy to be a fly on the wall and learn from these two brilliant guys.
All right. Well, you see, this is how we do. We just keep it real. It's us right here. Authentic, not all the fancy schmancy stuff that like the grown-ups do. But hey, I'm Terry Brock with Stark Raving Entrepreneurs. We get wonderful people like Ross come by and talk with us often. We want to hear from you. Let us know where you're creating, what you're creating about, and the questions you have. I will look forward to seeing you a little bit later, and have a wonderful day.